Indulge me on the politics of the day. Update me, if you would, on your new GI Bill and where that stands.
Well, as you know, you've done some great segments on the show on this. I introduced this my first day in office. The idea is to give the people who've been serving since 9/11 the same type of benefits as those who came back from World War II. We now have 57 co-sponsors in the United States Senate and more than 300 in the House, and a good percentage of those are Republicans. So we have 11 Republican co-sponsors here in the Senate. We have more than 90 Republican co-sponsors in the House. The difficulty has been this administration, and this is what's so confusing to me. If you're George Bush and you're at the end of your tenure, what a moment that you could have if you had a Rose Garden signing ceremony with Republicans, Democrats, veterans groups saying, this group that I've often called the next greatest generation here, we're giving you the greatest benefit we can. I don't get it. I don't know why he hasn't stepped up and done that.
Well, and to that point, where is Senator McCain on this? Could there possibly be, to him, could there possibly be something more important than the welfare of our servicemen and servicewomen?
One would think not. I've known John McCain for 30 years. I've considered him to be a friend, and I have said a number of times that I think if I could get John McCain to sit down, he's been so busy, and listen to what we have in this bill, I can't imagine he wouldn't support it.
Well, we wish you best of luck doing that. Obviously, it is a measure that is of incredible importance to the country and specifically to the people you're trying to help. The new book from Jim Webb is A Time to...
Welcome back to Harville. Barack Obama and John McCain did battle today over the new GI Bill. It began when Obama went after McCain on the Senate floor for not supporting the bill. Take a listen.
I respect Senator John McCain's service to our country. He is one of those heroes of which I speak. But I can't understand why he would line up behind the president in his opposition to this GI Bill. I can't believe why he believes it is too generous to our veterans. I could not disagree with him and the president more on this issue. There are many issues that lend themselves to partisan posturing, but giving our veterans the chance to go to college should not be one of them. I'm proud that so many Democrats and Republicans have come together to support this.
Well, John McCain responded rather heatedly in this statement, quote, "I will not accept from Senator Obama, who did not feel it was his responsibility to serve our country in uniform, any lectures on my regard for those who did. Perhaps if Senator Obama would take the time and trouble to understand the issue, he would learn to debate an honest disagreement respectfully. But as he always does, he prefers impugning the motives of his opponent and exploiting a thoughtful difference of opinion to advance his own ambitions. If that is how he would behave as president, the country would regret his election." Steve McMahon's a Democratic media consultant, and Todd Harris is a former... That is a pretty vitriolic response, I must say. Going after his failure to serve in uniform when, in fact, Todd, how many people has John McCain defended over the years in this administration who did not serve in the military, who are hawks? Again and again, he's defended hawks who didn't serve in military. Now, all of a sudden, he changes tune and says, if you're not a military guy, you can't talk about military matters.
It's actually
the only reason I bring this up, I'll go to Steve now. So many times I brought up with John McCain my concern that a lot of people that talked us into the war in Iraq never bothered to serve in the military. And every time he's rebuked me and said, don't say that. You have a perfect right to choose not to serve. But here he is whacking his opponent for not serving.
No, I don't think. Well, go. I'll let you speak.
No, you're absolutely right, Chris. And you know, Senator McCain is an authentic hero. He did serve honorably, and Senator Obama acknowledged that. Senator Obama's criticism was about two bills, one that was more generous, one that was less generous. George Bush and John McCain favor the one that's less generous. He wanted to know why. In John McCain's belligerent, angry, over-the-top response, he didn't really explain why he stands with George Bush for a less generous bill. He simply attacked Senator Obama. No, it was a typical overreaction. And by the way, if this is the kind of anger that we're going to see from Senator McCain, I don't think it's going to wear very well over time with swing voters.
Do you think, Todd, that Senator McCain ever saw this statement or Mark Salter wrote it? This people think this has had so much vitriol, it doesn't really seem like the words of John McCain.
I'm assuming that it was, Chris, but look, the vitriol here is when Barack Obama takes to the floor of the United States Senate and questions, impugns.
Let me ask you guys this. Isn't the real fight here about whether this administration wants troops to re-up and go back into combat and complete a rotation, and perhaps more severe rotation, rather than going off to college? And what's really at stake here is whether the administration can keep up its troop strength in the field. Isn't that it?
That's exactly what it is. It's that, and it's also John McCain thinks that every time there's an exchange on foreign policy, on national security, on defense, he wins. Senator Obama knows that he needs to cut into that lead a little bit, which is why he's engaging so aggressively here. But I will say this, he did not impugn the integrity of Senator McCain. In fact, the clip proves it. He, in fact, recognized and honored the service of John McCain. This bill, by the way, was supported by Jim Webb, another Vietnam veteran who's earned his stripes, and Senator John Warner, another Republican senator who John McCain didn't attack today.
The problem, Chris...
Well, go ahead.
Senator Jim Webb, everybody's All-American. Let me ask you a question. But before I ask you the question, let me preface it with a brief story as told to me a few days ago. Young fellow, 23 years old, New Jersey, lives in New Jersey, 2 tours in Iraq as a member of the Marine Corps, returns from Iraq, starts going to college, can't make the payments, the tuition payments, decides to pick up a little extra money by joining the National Guard unit that just got recalled and will be headed to Iraq in September.
Wow.
Tell me about your GI Bill, the benefits that people like this young man I just described would get from it, and tell me about your conversations, if any, with Senator John McCain about co-sponsoring your bill.
Okay, by the way, before I get off the air, I want to say something about this situation in Kentucky that y'all have been talking about. I wrote an entire book, not this one, but the last one that I wrote on this culture. It happens to be my cultural group.
Absolutely.
But with respect to the GI Bill, it was very clear to me, even before I ran for office, that something was amiss here. I started working in veterans law in 1977. I was the first full committee counsel in the Congress. We worked on all these bills. From 9/11 forward, when we entered a wartime environment, the operational tempo, the risks, everything changed, and the impact on these young people's lives when they have to go through these sorts of things changed as well. And we should be giving them the same kind of benefits that the people coming back from World War II had. That's what I put into place. We are really close now to making that happen. It's taken 17 months. I got 300 sponsors in the House, including 91 Republicans. I got 58 sponsors here in the Senate. It needs to happen. There's just no logic that would go the other way. And I would hope Senator McCain would sit down and listen carefully to what we have in this bill. I think he'd support it if I had 10 minutes to really go through it with him.
Pat Buchanan.
Yeah,
Let's go to Kentucky.
Yeah, Senator Webb, let me ask you about Kentucky in light of